Hello, everybody. Welcome to Where is the Line, where we explore the gray areas of life. My name is Jane, and I am with my co-host, Sabrina. Sabrina, how are you doing?
Hi Jane, I'm doing well. I can't believe I'm going on another trip here to Germany tomorrow.
I'm jealous of you because you are really just living your best life. You're such a travel girly as of late, and you know I'm a big travel girl myself. So anytime I see other people traveling and living their best life, I'm always so jealous. Um, How am I doing? I'm good. I've been on TikTok a lot, and TikTok has been feeding me a lot of skiing content. So who knows? Kyle and I were trying to maybe plan a ski weekend or something. I am by no means a skier. I know how to pizza. That's about it.
Yeah.
So I'm exploring private classes with a professional. I do not want to be in a class with a bunch of 6-year-olds because they're all so good and they like will outshine me. Have you seen those little kids are so good at it? Well, I'm so pumped today. Today's topic is a little bit new for me. I think Sabrina, for you as well. We're not really experts in this area by any means, but we're so excited to have our special guests. Sabrina, do you want to introduce our guest?
Yes, I have the pleasure to introduce everyone to Natasha Martin. Natasha is our first French guest, so I'm so excited to
Yay.
have her on. We met in 2009, so quite a bit ago in Richmond, Virginia, where we both studied. So, yeah, and we kept in touch over the years. Natasha is the world traveler, if I had to put two words together. Everyone follow her on Instagram. I don't know which country you haven't been to, but yeah, excited for her to share more about this topic, which, as Jane mentioned, is a little bit new to us. I've been always intrigued about it. I've heard people say they went on this experience, but today, having Natasha share firsthand, as she just underwent ayahuasca in December. So I'll let Natasha introduce herself.
Yeah, so thank you for inviting me. Yeah, sorry for my very strong French accent. Can't help it.
Oh,
But
it's beautiful.
so yeah, I try to hide it, but it's hard. So yeah, I'm Natasha, I'm 37. I live half of the year in Paris, in France, and the other half I'm kind of exploring the world, working remotely. I work for a travel platform called Travel Local, and right now I'm in Brazil since early December.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for being here with us. So before we dive in, ayahuasca, right? I've heard it described in many different ways. I heard the psychedelic, I heard it's a plant, then I heard it's a concoction of plants, and also the ceremonial aspect, right? And based on Wikipedia, ayahuasca, for our listeners that may not know, is a South American psychoactive brew traditionally used by indigenous cultures and folk healers in the Amazon for spiritual ceremonies, divination, and healing a variety of psychosomatic complaints. So that's quite a mouthful again. So in your words, well, how would you help us explain? How would you describe ayahuasca?
Yeah, so for me at first, like I didn't really know much about ayahuasca until I went on the trip. Of course, I did my research a little bit before, but for me, it was more about the experience. I didn't know much about what it was, but then because when arrived in Brazil and we got into the place where we would experience the ayahuasca, I understood that it was a brew of different plants combining a big vine with some leaves that cooked for over 26 days. So it's like a very big process. And then it gives you a kind of a molasses that looks like Jägermeister. If you're a German, you would know what it is, like a little shot of a brownish licorice drink. And that's what when consumed you may experience hallucinogenic effect, psychedelic effect. So what I understood and what the shaman also told us is that it also comes from the DMT present in the plant. It's like a substance that is naturally produced in small amount by our brain, and usually when we dream. But then it's said to be released in huge amount when we are born and when we die. So that's why when people when we take ayahuasca, you're basically close to a near death experience because of this amount of DMT released in the body, which is like something that I had absolutely no clue about.
Interesting. I wonder what DMT stands for.
I think that's also what drives the hallucinogen, because a lot
Yeah.
of other psychoactives have DMT as one of the like particles, I guess, that
Yeah.
induces the hallucinogenics.
And that's
But
why, like, during the ceremony, we were allowed to take up to 3 doses, but some people take up to 13. And this all depends on your enzyme, actually. It's not because, oh, you're stronger, so you're going to take 13 doses. It's really depending on how your body is going to assimilate the DMT that you ingest, like from the plant. So it's very, yeah, it was very interesting. I had no idea about all of this before.
yeah, when I was reading some of the research ahead of this, I learned like from a scientific perspective, because you mentioned like there's multiple components that goes into this brew, and the reason why there's like leaves and there's stems that they all like kind of like boil in this brew, and all these different components individually are not like, they're not hallucinogens individually, but
Yeah,
together, when they're
yeah,
brewed together over the course of say 26 days or a long period of time, when you ingest it, I forget if it was the stem or the leaf, but one of the components that come out of these like different ingredients would block your body from like removing that from your body, which then the
yeah,
DMT hits your
exactly.
brain, and that's how you
Oh.
have the hallucinogen or the
Yeah,
reaction. So it's like a very scientific thing that goes behind this broader experience. But Natasha, help us understand, like, before we even get into the experience itself,
yeah,
what made you like decide on this? Where did you do this? Like, talk us through
yeah,
kind of that experience
yeah.
leading up to this.
Yeah. Well, why did I decide to do an ayahuasca experience? Actually, I don't think I really decide on going into one. I've always been very interested into exploring more inner, consciousness, just healing also traumatic experiences. I lost my parents when I was very young, my dad when I was 10 and my mom when I was 30. So I kind of had always that type of anger that I don't really, I mean, I understand where it comes from, but at the same time, I'm kind of bothered by it. And I just wanted to experience something different. I have one of my very close friend in Paris, Marcio, is Brazilian, and he's president of the Psychedelic Association of Belgium. He's doing a lot of ayahuasca retreats. So when I mentioned to him that I was going to Brazil, and he said that, oh, he did that great ayahuasca experience in the Amazon, he gave me the contact of the shaman, and I looked at the map and I was like, wow, that makes sense. I was always like, yeah, let's do ayahuasca. Like I really want to understand more about myself. I heard it's you gain 15 years of therapy. So I'm like, yeah, great, I'm in. I do a lot of self-work. So I was like, yeah, if I can get a shortcut, that's great. I did not think I would have the courage to do it though. I just like the idea of thinking, okay, I'm gonna do it. But then when it was really getting serious, I was really frightened. Yeah.
Wow. And you did this in Brazil with a
Yeah.
professional, like a shaman, essentially, with
Well,
an
yeah.
organization.
So it's so I landed from Paris to Manaus. Manaus is the capital of the Amazon, and from there I took a 48 hours ferry boat, local boat, where you had to buy your hammock before boarding the boat, and then everybody would sleep on these little hammocks in the
Yeah.
ferry
Wow.
along the Amazon River. So the experience, it was the full trip, you know, like I was kind of getting myself mentally prepared to the experience, writing my intention, etc. And then we arrived in that village by the river, Amazon River, and the camp. It's not really a camp, but it's just a communal place where the shaman is living, and he grew up there. He's cooking his own ayahuasca, so we could also see where the vine is from, where he takes the leaves. The environment is also very, very natural because you're in the jungle, you know, the forest, and I think it helps with the experience as well. And but it's a pretty normal guy, you know. He's just that's why, you know, like you always have this image of maybe someone wearing I don't know, like leaves and
Gandalf.
yeah. But this Paolo was not. He's a pretty normal person, but he just, you know, grew up with ayahuasca and the ceremony within its family, and he just provides it to people that pass through and wants to experience it.
Um, it's crazy because when I was researching this ahead, it sounds like it's very much like it's not only a physical thing, right? But it's a mental thing, it's an emotional
Yeah.
process, it's a spiritual process. So like for our audience, if somebody's exploring this, and maybe even just from your experience, how spiritual do you need to be? You also mentioned it's like therapy for a lot of people. Like, do you have to have trauma to go benefit from something like this? Like, what's
Yeah.
the context there?
Yeah. So I would say, like, first, you know, like before going into ayahuasca experience, I think that you need to kind of do a lot of research. If you don't really have the contact like I had, it's very important to really find a place where you're gonna feel comfortable, when you know the facilitators or the shaman is really experienced. Because right now there's a lot of ayahuasca retreat that pop up on the internet, and it's kind of a money machine, you know, especially in the Amazonian forest, like Peru, Colombia, Brazil, you know, all of these countries. So you can also do it in urban retreat. So you need to really, yeah, dig a little bit, have some recommendation from people. I think it's always good. But I would say that you don't necessarily need to be spiritual to do the experience, but you need to be very open, and, you know, have the willingness to confront deep emotions, you know, and experiences, because you're gonna really go very deep into your emotions and trauma, and it's a real powerful tool for transformation. So it's not like a recreational drug, for example. Like, it's not like mushroom, or it needs to be, you know, approached with a lot of responsibility also. So
I heard that as well, that it's no joke, right? It is extremely intense. And just
yeah.
because people may have done therapy, or I mean, I've gone on this self-growth journey since 2020, but I have so much respect for ayahuasca. And it's just something that, and you'll get into it, but it's something that you can't even put into words
Yeah,
what's
for
gonna
sure.
happen there.
I'd say, like, the most the tips that I could give to people is, like, to set your intentions, you know, to try to clarify your intentions in wanting to do ayahuasca. Like, is it for, you know, because you're seeking healing or personal growth or spiritual insights, or something else, you know, like, to have something clearly stated in your mind. And then you do your research, you know, you learn as much as you can about ayahuasca, also the effect, the cultural context. It also helps, and then it also helps also to feel more comfortable, and to diminish a little bit the anxiety that can come from losing the control, because you really have to surrender, you know, and let go. And then yeah, just find the proper guidance, the shaman that you feel comfortable with, and the most important and the key element is definitely what comes afterward, you know, the integration, and to take the time to, yeah, to integrate the insights, and maybe have someone that follow up with you, either a therapist, or discuss it among friends.
Yeah, fascinating. And yeah, we have so many more questions on the actual process. Before we go there, Natasha, as Jane and I did our research, we have noticed that there is a lot of skepticism surrounding ayahuasca. I know you mentioned there's a few, given it's becoming more mainstream, and there may be some companies that will offer it, but it's actually not the real deal. I guess how, for people that are skeptical towards spirituality in general and towards this experience in particular, like as it becomes more mainstream, how would you sell ayahuasca to like a skeptic or someone that may say, well, how is it different than just any other
Yeah.
substance or mushrooms
Yeah.
or any other like drugs?
Yeah, so I think, to be honest, there's already growing research showing that ayahuasca can be incredibly effective in treating things like depression or anxiety, PTSD, or addiction even. And also, if we don't just talk about the science, but ayahuasca, it's been used for centuries by indigenous people and culture, you know, in the Amazon for healing and spiritual purposes. So I don't think that if it was not really effective, it would still be going on. You know, there's a real rich history about it here that suggests that there's something profound about it. So I would say, yeah, I would try to see also that aspect of the of ayahuasca. And also, I mean, I think it's because safety is a big concern. For example, it's forbidden in France, but and it's totally valid, you know. But I think it's crucial to participate also in a ayahuasca ceremony that are led by experienced facilitators or shaman, and that's why then you can prioritize safety and make sure that someone is there to guide you, because it's one of the most important part within the process. You know, it's definitely not a recreational drug that you just take on your own or with your friend. You know, it needs to be controlled.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the healing aspect, right? And you said that ayahuasca has been known to treat depression and addiction, and I've read about more examples like that. It's saying that with ayahuasca, you're healing the root that caused you to self-medicate in the first place. So that almost implies that you had a choice in your addiction, which that's where the controversy comes in. Do you have any perspective on that?
Yeah, for me, it's kind of hard to talk about that topic about addiction, but I mean, I've heard stories of people, you know, curing their addiction after an ayahuasca experience because they started to understand the roots of their problem. Medicine is gonna treat mostly the symptoms, but I think, you know, with addiction, it's not really something that you just, okay, I'm gonna take ayahuasca, it's gonna cure myself. You may have a good experience, but you may have not. So I think addiction can be, you know, more approached in a multifaceted, you know, therapy kind of, because, you know, you need to combine maybe therapy, maybe understanding what was the issue behind it, treat it as it is. But I don't think people should take, you know, put themselves a very high expectation of hopes that it can cure any issues like that. But I think, like, I feel, and I've heard that many times, that people with addiction, such as just smoking, were able to you know, to shift and to understand why they were just addicting to the cigarette, or maybe addicting to food, you know, food disorder, or things like this. For myself, that I have sometimes food disorder, I got some kind of answers for it. So I think it's more about you digging into the roots, the cause, and then trying to do something with it. But ayahuasca in itself is not going to be a cure, but it gives you a clue that you need to work with.
I would agree with you because, yeah, when you really think about it, why do people turn to alcohol? A lot of times people may not want to face reality, or they want to face their own maybe darkest, deepest thoughts and shadows, and therefore you turn to certain things like alcohol, drugs. So yeah, I agree.
And what do you think about like mental health more broadly or trauma healing? Because when I was reading some of the articles, it sounds like it's very effective for helping people address mental health and trauma in particular. And it sounds like, to your point, a lot of it is like going within, looking really deep within like the issues that you're dealing with, not only looking at the symptoms, but looking at the root of the problem. I guess one question I had is ayahuasca, you mentioned earlier, like shortcut, right? Is it is it a shortcut for a lot of people? Are people using that as a shortcut, or is it more like, is it the same as what therapy could do for you? You also mentioned like when you come back to reality, you kind of have to integrate that into your therapy conversations and your day-to-day. So what's your perspective on like this being a shortcut versus a potential solution?
Yeah, well, I think definitely for me was a shortcut, like 100%. Like I could have gone to therapy for many, many, many years to try to understand what I understood when I did the experience. It may not be the case for everybody, but my experience was very strong. So I really do believe that it helps healing with traumatic experiences. I think when you also lost loved ones that are in your closed circle, let's say, like, for example, parents or even brother and sisters, I think it does help a lot. You understand a lot more about mortality that you did or that you could if you were going to therapy, because it's a very different approach. And I think you are touching things that it's so deeply unconscious that you made in years to uncover. Yeah.
Wow. And it sounds like you may have even experienced things that like people may never even get to if it's just through regular therapy, or sometimes I find like in therapy you have limited time. So a lot of times you don't even get to talk really deeply about something, or you haven't worked towards the thing, and then your session is over and then you go back to real life and it's not always the most effective option.
Yeah, but you're right. Also, it's also the integration that is also the important part afterwards. Like that, all the work is being done just after the experience. So because all the memories, the images, you may have flashback. Then they're supposed to come up to 1 month after the experience. So you have a lot of things to process afterwards.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to hear about the actual experience. But
I
I have
know.
one more question. I have one more question, which is the physical like healing component. So again, when I was reading some of the research, there's very early like scientific research around the like what ayahuasca can do for physical healing. It sounds like there may be early signs of ayahuasca being able to like attack cancer cells and like, you know, real issues that people are dealing with, physical health issues. When you went through your experience, even if it wasn't for your own physical health, did you have other people who went for physical health reasons, or like what's your perspective on using ayahuasca for physical recovery?
So I personally do. I think the percentage of people that do ayahuasca for physical reason is very, to my understanding, and I think it's very low, but it's an added value, because you must first want to understand your inner self better, and then what you get is also the health benefit, because 10 days, maybe 10 days before the ayahuasca experience, or even 15 days before, it's up to you, you start to follow a strict diet that implies to remove, any kind of meat or dairy product, anything made of animal, so kind of a vegan diet, and no alcohol, no sexual activities, no drugs. Yeah, so it's kind of a preparation for your body to go through the experience, because the ayahuasca has a purgative effect. So you're gonna have to go either to the toilets or to vomit. So that's why they are talking about the body getting rid of the toxins and promote detoxification. I know that it really helps also with chronic, pain and inflammation. That was the case also for me. Speaking for myself, I had a tinnitus problem in my ears and very bad lower back pain. And since that, I can say it's basically gone. It's it's
Wow.
crazy, because I saw a white light going through my entire spine, and then just I understood the reason why I was having back pain, because of posture, but also just having your mind understanding that it's not going to be an issue anymore, because you're going to lay down anyway later on in life. Pain will be gone, so you don't have to worry about pain. And then the tinnitus is linked to my experience during ayahuasca. That's my understanding of it, is that you need to remember the experience of ayahuasca. So the tinnitus I hear in my ear is to remind me of that, of the music during the trip, of the entire experience. It's crazy. And now, since then, it's not bothering me anymore. I totally, totally gone. It's
That's crazy.
Incredible. Wow. Yeah, okay. This is just
I know Sabrina and I are so overwhelmed hearing these
for those not watching on
experiences.
YouTube, our jaws are on the floor. Okay, so yeah, let's get into it. Right just before we do this, a little bit just more on the preparation. You mentioned so much about preparation. It sounds like, if I'm hearing you correctly, preparation is absolute key, right? I heard you talk about the diet, also knowing your shaman, and intention setting. That's something I wanted to ask you a little bit more. Obviously, you don't have to share your specific intention, but for our listeners that are thinking about this, how specific or granular are you supposed to get with that? Like, for my instance, I can understand from like a healing and addiction perspective. Yeah, I want to heal my depression or XYZ, but I also would like to maybe connect deeper with my dad that passed away. Like, how can you provide some guidance on like intention setting, how broad versus how granular you should get with that?
It's very hard, because like at first when they told me, okay, set your intention, I was like, I had a list long up to the floor, like, okay, I want this, like a short list. At the end of the day, when I arrived in front of the shaman, I forgot all my intention. I wrote everything, but it's like I got confused, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know. Yeah, just show me what I need to see. But yeah, I'd say it's more about for yourself, to try to reflect on what you hope to gain from the experience, or the insight, or the self-discovery. Or if, for example, I don't know, like you find very hard to take decisions in life, you want to understand why, like, or that could be also, I don't know, like, why am I constantly angry? Where is this anger coming from? Or I want to understand, I want to be more at peace with myself, be at peace with my choices. Or but it's not really, it's very personal. Like, for example, what I received as a instruction, it's get a clear picture of your ideas and thoughts that led you to this point. You know, divide your life stories into 7 periods and look at the most influential events in each of these. Write about yourself and describe how they affected you. Write 3 strengths and pitfalls. You know, like I mean, this is very like technical, but it just helped me to guide a little bit more my intention and to try to reflect more about my life and what, yeah, because you know, I think your life is split into different time period, and in each of these time period, you were maybe a different person and you had different issues. And so that kind of helped linked everything together and maybe see if there's a pattern and see if there's something that come over and over again. Yeah, for example, I have a friend that struggle with a relationship, like intimate relationship, like with having a boyfriend, and they always break up, and it's always the same kind of pattern. So this is something, for example, you could set as an intention, but it's really, at the end of the day, you don't really need to focus too much on that because you will see what you need to see. And I really think that trust is one of the most important. You need to trust the process. You need to trust that the plant is not, it doesn't want to harm you. They just want to show you what you need to see and what was hidden for so many years. So, and I really do believe it. Like if you prepare mentally, you know, you try to maybe meditate daily, try to practice more like mindfulness. I know it's very difficult in our lives, but I tried, and I know, you know, like I'm very active always, and but I try to set some times to you know, like even early morning, or to try to just meditate and just, yeah, just head, like empty the head, and that really helps with the preparation. And of course, like if you take medication for antidepressant or, you know, things like this, then this is something that should be discussed, because I know that some people who have you know, schizophrenia or maybe other mental disease, then it's not really particularly recommended, or heart problem, but that was not my case. So
You hit on so many points that resonate with me. I mean, yeah, just it sounds like it's like you said, like therapy on steroids,
Yeah.
but really going within, surrendering, letting go, finding that inner peace. Okay, well, we all want to know. Tell us, like, how was the experience? Did you have any awakening? Did you connect with,
yeah.
your parents had passed? Like, tell us more about that.
Yeah, so I can just tell you first about like when I entered, like arrived in the morning at 10 a.m. I was there with my partner Tino, and so I kind of felt reassured that I'm not going alone. You know, it can be doubtful. I met Paolo. He seemed very nice. I never met him before, but we exchanged a few messages before. And he mentioned that there was 3 other girls that would come to join the process. So we were 5 in total, plus the shaman and 2 other facilitators that were actually taking the ayahuasca as well. So the 3 other girls, instantly when I saw them entering, I felt much more comfortable, because I knew they were girls, and they were foreigners, because, you know, I don't really speak very good Portuguese, sorry. And Paulo kind of speak English, but not really. So he came with 2 other friends, and she was doing the translation. So they were from Norway. 2 of them were also new. And then the lady that brought her friend came for the 3rd time already. So yeah, I felt
Wow.
it good to be there with them. We dressed very lightly to be able to be more comfortable, and we all had a hammock that we could lay down during the experience. And then we sat down in circle, and Paolo just asked us a couple of questions about if we either took mushrooms or other type of drugs, etc. Because he said that it would be like nothing like we experienced before. We would go, he talked about it as a roller coaster where you would go through the horror house, then you will cry, laugh, you'd be happy, and then at the end you arrive where you need to arrive. So it's like a ticket in and out. So you don't have to be worried. Everything's temporary, but it can be very scary. So just relax, breathe, and surrender. Let go. Yeah. So that was his advice. And then so he prepared the cup, and we could take up to 3 cups. The first cup, then he would ring the bell, and then 1 hour and a half later we could take the second cup, and then ring the bell, and an hour later you could take the third cup. And so yeah, we just give each other a big hug, and then we at the first dose, it's supposed to be horrible. Like people, I don't know if you've heard, but people say it's like tastes disgusting, it's awful. I loved it. I thought that was delicious. But yeah, I was surprised. I was like, oh, that's good. You know, like, and then yeah, so we took the cup, and then we laid down, and that was probably the longest 30 minutes I've ever experienced, because you're there, and you know there's no way back. You can't turn back. Too late. And you're in your hammock, and you have to just wait. And so at first I felt okay, you know, like, and then I suddenly everything changed. Like I was like, oh my God, like I'm dying. Like this is it, you know, like I called Paolo, and yeah, so I called him to come over, and I was like, oh yeah, that's over. You can, I mean, let me go now. I'm leaving, you know, I'm gone. And so it was awful. Like I really felt stressed, and I was just showing the sky, pointing the sky in my hammock, and I was like, wow. And then I could not speak anymore, and I started to howl like a wolf, you know, like ow, you know,
Yeah.
like crazy.
Wait,
And
this is all after the first one?
yeah, the first one, after 30 minutes, not even, I started to howl like a wolf, like, you know, like the type of animal that you see and you know you feel powerless. They just howl, and they try to call someone. They don't know. Like for me, I
Oh my
understood you could
gosh.
give my localization to tell that I'm here, you know, like, and I was just, it was impossible to stop me. It was, I wanted to cry, but I couldn't cry. I could only howl. I could only do the sound of the wolf. And the thing is that around me, the other people, they were not even tripping yet. So they got, I learned that afterwards, but they were like, wow. Yeah. So
So they were
I
just
was,
watching you.
yeah, they were watching me, but me, I was already gone. Like it was, yeah, I was a wolf. I felt like a wolf. I understood I was, yeah, I understood that my family, we are all a wolf pack, and all of them. And that's why we are like this. That's why we have this kind of sadness sometimes, that we just want to be reconnected with our loved one. And that's what a wolf is doing, you know, he's calling, yeah, to give his localization, to tell that he's here. And yeah, so I was, you know, like I was a wolf. And after that, the first thing I did was coming to the ground. Like that's why I said that it's very important to know and to choose a right place, because you might want to be in the nature, you know, a lot. And the first thing I saw was like, okay, I need to be in the earth. I need to be in the dirt. I need to be with leaves, with anything natural. So I crawled over the, yeah, the dirt, and then everything started to be black, and I saw a lot of eyes around me, and that's like what I always feel like people are watching me, because, you know, like I have so many people that died in my family, my grandfather, parents, and my parents. So I feel like I'm always being watched, you know, like, so judged maybe for my actions, or, but actually no, it's my own, you know, yeah, recreation. But that was, you know, like the fear. So that was the fearful moment. And then
Mm.
everything turned into pastel colors, and with the music, you know, that Paolo is playing, it everything goes hand in hand. You know, the music is helping a lot with the process and through the steps. And when everything turned into pastel, it started to be very nice. I I was there for hours. I don't know how long, but I could feel the plants. I was playing with the vines. I was putting all the dirt on me as if I wanted to feel what my parents are feeling, you know, like this, because I always feel compressed, and it
Mm.
made the amount of earth they have under them, you know, because they're buried. So
Mhm.
I was like, oh, I need to understand that it's okay, you know, death is not scary. It's, you know, I could see all the insects. It was no problem. They were all over my face. I had sands everywhere, in my mouth, in my ears. But it was, you know, it was fine. And I was always like having my arm on the side as if I was like, okay, I'm here. I protect you now. I'm with you. My dad is the tree, you know, is the pillar, is the strength, and my mom is the leaves, you know, so they're all around me. I don't need to be scared anymore. It's
Mm.
yeah, it's just a part of life, you know. We are all energy, and you could feel the energy and the connection with nature. I could see, I felt like I could see the vibration of the plant, and it kind of scared me to death, because I was like, oh my God, we are destroying the nature so much. We are burning the forest. And
Mm.
and I could feel the amount of, you know, like the energy, just the vibration from all the plants and the trees around me. It was just, oh, it was great.
Wow.
So I understood this, and I understood that I was a messenger, that all this trip, you know, that I'm doing in my life, and I'm traveling a lot, is to bring back a message to my brother and sister. Um, like, you know, I'm always the connector. Sabrina, she knows me. I like to gather people, to connect people, and so I finally understood what's my role in life, and my, you know, where, yeah, why I'm here. And that's what I was looking for, you know, like because I always feel like I'm in none of the box, you know, like I don't have the normal lifestyle, and I'm not necessarily, you know, I don't have children, or, you know, I don't, yeah, so I'm not really following all the steps like most, but it's okay, because I understood that I'm where I should be, and I'm doing what I need to be doing. So so yeah, the experience, yeah, started quite long, and then afterwards everything started to turn red, like
Mm.
as if I was in a placenta. And that's where I experienced the rebirth. Like I felt like, oh, I'm born again. And then I started to walk, but like a baby walk, like, you know, like you have to hold yourself because you're not
Yeah.
sure. And then instantly I realized, oh my God, if my mom did not take care of me much when I was younger, and because she was more with my brothers that needed her more, it's because she already knew I was supposed to be here. I already knew how things work, and I'm the one that needs to, you know, bring back the message again. So she already knew that, okay, I don't need her too much. I already know how things are working, and I'm doing things on my own. I was always very independent. And so I just understood that again, like, yeah, starting to walk, and yeah, yeah, I felt great. And I was also at the same time very angry, because I read that you're supposed to vomit after an hour, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
respiratory effect, but that did not happen. It happened only until the end, when I finally managed to walk to the vine, to the root of mother ayahuasca, and that's where I finally vomit, and I came down. Like I was like, okay, Now I'm yeah,
Wow.
okay, I feel great. It's out. And then I had the urge of writing. So I found a notebook and I wrote everything, all the messages for all my brother and sister, um,
Mm.
messages that were, I felt, not written by me. It was not me writing, it was just unconscious writing. And it was given by my mom. My mom was just giving me messages for all of my family. And then I told them the messages, but it just, everything makes sense. You have this
Mm.
very strong feeling that everything makes sense. You start to connect all the dots. Like when I was very young, we were playing a board game with my family, and I always picked the Amazona card because I felt like this entire trip, my entire life was to lead me to that moment of truth
Mm.
where that I would, like I was supposed to be here. And then you start to collect all these messages that come later on. Um, like the beginning is the end, and the end of the beginning is like the infinity sign.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then I looked how does a wolf mourn when when one of his pack member die, and they said they walk in circle as a eight infinity.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, that's the entire process. I was like, this is just infinity. Like I'm lost in a loop. And then after you start to try to understand the messages, and if you start to dig deeper into it, then you understand so much.
Oh
It
my
was
God.
Wow.
yeah, no, it was very intense. Yeah,
This
yeah,
is crazy. Can I ask a couple clarifying questions? When you were experiencing all of this, it sounds like you were both like in control, but also not in control. Like you were physically putting, soil,
yeah,
the sand on your body. So like you are physically in control of
yeah,
doing these things, and
yeah,
you are like aware that you are doing these things, but you are
yeah,
also not in control because this is just what
yeah,
you needed to do at the time. Is that
yeah.
the
Yeah,
experience?
it's true. Yeah, because you feel also that there's no more time and space, like you don't know how long a minute can be or an hour. And that's where I started to
Wow.
understood that maybe when you die, you're in this no man's land of that
Mm.
that second of that lasts for infinity, you don't know. And that's
Wow.
where and yeah, because one thing is that I remember, I mean, my mom, when she was very sick, and at the end of her, like when she was nearly dying, I remember very strongly that she was sitting in the sofa, and she was just constantly showing the sky. And that's
Wow.
that's what I did when I first started the experiment, and that's when I understood that my mom actually did that same trip. She
Mm.
probably had this
Okay.
release of DMT also, but then she stayed over there. But
Wow.
that's why I understood that maybe we don't know because there's no, but maybe yeah, that there's something after death that, I don't know. Now I feel like I'm less scared about death than I was before, because
Mm.
I think that something happens, maybe.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you about that. Yeah, how did it change your perspective on
Oh
death
yeah.
now?
Yeah, I think now I have this strong feeling of nothing really matters because we all go back to dirt or to dust, like
Mm.
even decisions, or we should not take things with gravity because why? Like at the end it's, even material possession or whatever, yeah, it's okay to buy, it's okay to, it's, yeah, nothing really
Mhm.
matters, it's just that at the end we all go back to the same
Right.
Yeah.
it. So you can do whatever you want, it's fine. Yeah, that's what I understood.
It puts things into perspective. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Can I ask, because I obviously there's so much benefit clearly and clarity that came out of this experience for you, and even like a connection to your family through this experience. Can I also push on the like potential negative side of this? So you mentioned you were like super afraid in the like in the beginning of this experience, you felt like you were dying, so it's like super
Yeah,
scary. And then while going through the experience, you went through a lot of like ups and downs, and then eventually it led to like even the physical reaction of vomiting. And when I was reading some of the articles and some history about this, it seems like vomiting, diarrhea is like a very common
yeah,
result or reaction of this. But from like the cultural perspective or the spiritual perspective, some cultures also see the puking as like the repressed emotions or the negativity leaving your body.
yeah.
Did you feel that? Did you have other like potential negative experiences like aggression or paranoia, anything like that?
No, I was actually very scared about this. I thought that I would have very maybe darker spirits around me, or I don't know, like. But it was a very beautiful experience. With I felt a lot of love, and the very deep down, I feel like I want to help. I want to volunteer. I want to give back to society, and I want to be closer to nature. I want to be a better person. But I
Mm-hmm.
did not experience any negativity, and I feel like the vomiting and puking and yeah, diarrhea, etc. It's part of the process, so it should not be, because we tend to repress negativity in our society, negative feeling, but I think it's part of it, and it's okay to be sad, it's okay to be angry. um
Mm-hmm.
I did not notice any aggressivity from anyone. I more the contrary. I think we all struggle, and the people that also have trauma, they don't want to be aggressive. They want to understand why they're so angry. So I think there's more, to me, more positive than negative aspect. And I would not even see the vomiting as a negative aspect. I would see as part of a process, and and yeah, it's okay. It feels after you feel clean.
Yeah. Wow.
Um, okay, I have so many thoughts, but I just want to say that first of all, as someone that has known you for a long time now, I always enjoyed you for being that connector, right? You always connected us in the groups, and but I also always felt like you were always searching for something.
Oh yeah.
And it's just so beautiful now to see how you've like found your purpose, and you found the connection back to your parents, and you did this, and you're exactly where you need to be, and
Yeah.
you're right there. And it's just such a powerful story, and I'm so happy for you, like, and you seem just so at peace, and I can like
Oh yeah, I
sense it
feel much
too.
better now, that I went through that experience. After, it's of course you need to, you go back very easily into your normal life. But
Hmm.
I think it's very important to, keep journaling, write your thoughts, write everything you can, like to try to process after the experience. But yeah, like it's good to have someone that either follow up with you, like a good therapist, or if not,
Hmm.
um yeah, then to try to implement also a little bit of what you've learned and into your
Yeah.
because after it's just very easy to just go back to normal.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So speaking of integration, I know we're coming up on the end of our episode, but can you just expand a little bit more post ayahuasca, the integration into your life? Like what are some of the themes and insights you've gained that you're now actively implementing in your day-to-day?
Yeah, so for me, I think like one thing that I noticed is I want to be more connected to the spiritual side of it. It's not just about like of course I want to keep journaling. It's very important for me to start writing. I was kind of against writing. I was kind of scared of writing. I don't know why, because you put thoughts on paper and then it becomes real. I don't know. But now I really want to write. I started to draw. I did a lot of drawing. I can. I wanted to share the one I did from ayahuasca, actually. Um, and yeah, so I started to implement also the mindfulness practices, like I keep doing meditation in the morning. Of course, I do yoga, and then yeah, just stay more grounded. I practice also the breathing. Breathing also really, really help to calm you down if you start to feel anxiety. Breathing is definitely helping a lot during the process. Also during ayahuasca, if you start to not understanding what's going on. And
Wow.
and yeah, just connect with nature. I want to be able to be closer to nature. When I go back to Paris, I will start to go back to the association and just help volunteer and uh,
Mm.
and I looked for a good therapist as well that I want to follow up on the process. It's someone that is also used with the and familiar with the ayahuasca experience. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's something important for me. And yeah, just the self-care and wellness in general, to prioritize that.
Incredible. Yeah, no, it's a good reminder that it's not just ayahuasca, but also what you do afterwards, right? So, oh, I could talk to you for hours. Unfortunately, we have to wrap. But yeah, I just really appreciate you sharing this very raw story with us. I'm mind blown is an understatement right now. But before we let you go, any projects you're working on that you want to plug? Where can people find you?
Yeah, well, now I'm gonna work on. I want to work on. Like that I travel a lot, and I always try to do things that are a bit more, not of the beaten path, but just trying to find the people that have a passion in life. So I want to start drawing portraits of people that have a meaningful place in the society. So for example, if I'm going to that village Troncoso, I met that wonderful lady that have been cooking the same dish for 50 years, and I just want to talk about her and why she cooked that dish and what's the story behind it. And it's just kind of a human of New York's, but for
Yeah.
just portrait
Oh,
of people
cool.
that have a meaningful
Hmm.
Yeah,
place.
like a meaningful
Yeah.
story. Yeah.
So it's what I'm starting to work on.
Amazing. Well, we will be following that.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll put your Instagram handle in the show notes so people can find you. Natasha, thank you so much again for spending time with us. This was an absolute blessing. I want to do it. I'm also scared, but yeah. So from our listeners, we want to hear from you. Anyone has experience with ayahuasca or psychedelics, please email us at where'sthelinepod@gmail.com and subscribe to our podcast wherever you find us or listen to us. We are on Apple, Spotify, and Google. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thanks to you.
Bye.
Bye.